Hey everybody, it's Angie from Trips with Angie, and welcome to video number 3 in our Japan series. In this video, we'll be talking about the highlights from my 8-day land tour of Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama prior to boarding the 2-week cruise around Japan. We arrived in Tokyo and checked into the Kimpton Shinjuku, which is near the busiest train station in the world. We always book 2 twin beds when traveling in Asia or Europe, just to give us a little more space than a double. I loved these bath shower combo rooms. It made the showers feel so much bigger than if the shower and the bathtub had been separate. And then otherwise it was just a separate sink area. And then we were introduced to the Japanese bidet. It's very complicated, but just keep an eye where that blue arrow points. That's the flush symbol. Our first day started with a tour of the cherry blossom areas. The Hama-rikyu Gardens was a great place to start. It's a beautiful oasis with several tea houses and as well as a small shrine, but we were really there for the cherry blossoms. We arrived in early April. It was just the end of the bloom in Tokyo, but we were able to find a couple trees. We headed to the fish market for a quick lunch. Since we were doing a full tour the next day, we just opted for a quick bite at the food court, which is on the 3rd floor of one of the main buildings. We had curry as well as sushi. Our next stop was the Senso-ji Shrine area. This is a view of the Tokyo Skytree, the highest tower now in Tokyo. And then this, you can see an overall view. The area is just filled with shops and restaurants leading up to the shrine and the tower. An absolutely beautiful, vibrant area. And I love this large grass sandal. It's meant to symbolize that a large god lives here so that evil spirits would stay away. The next morning, we headed back to the fish market on a tour with Context Travel. Now this is bonita. So if you've had bonita flakes, this is what it looks like before they grate it into the flakes. It's a special process to create a very dense, hard fish with full of flavor. Our first stop at the stalls was the barbecued eel. They were grilling it right there in front of you in this great selection of different stands. We also had to stop and get freshly shucked oysters. Now this is the symbol for sushi, so if you're on the lookout for sushi, you want to look for that. And then this is the restaurant where we had lunch. The red curtains show it's open, and we got the tuna sampler, which was absolutely divine. We also made a stop at a tea shop to try matcha made the traditional way. After that, we headed to the Unino area, which is where the National Museum is located. The museum is on a huge complex. You could spend all day there. Unfortunately, we just had the afternoon. They have fun interactive exhibits so we could make a print the traditional way. After a full day there, we headed back towards the hotel and stopped in one of the local ramen shops, having an absolute delicious dinner. Definitely a must-see. The next day, we were up early, headed out on the train. Please take advice and look at these. The green is where you're supposed to stand while you're waiting. The red is where you're not. There's lots of signage within the different subway stations helping you figure out where escalators are, elevators are, where the best exit is. We wanted to head to the Shibuya Crossing, the busiest crossing in the world. We went up to Mag's Rooftop Bar, which has a cover charge that includes a non-alcoholic or an alcoholic drink, to get a bird's eye view of this busy crossing. Now, this wasn't busy at all, but the crossing is so busy that they stop traffic in all directions so everyone can just cross the street diagonally or from one side or another. Now, this was the very first time we had seen people walk outside of the crosswalks. Everyone in Japan was very conscientious of when to cross. They never crossed against the light. And then this is just a great view of all the billboards and colorful options here. Walking a little bit from there, we found the Meiji Shrine, which is dedicated to a former emperor who opened up Japan. So these are wine casks from the California, and then sushi casks. And then here's the beautiful shrine. This is a great place for weddings. Near there is the Takeshita Street. Now, this is a great spot for young people. It's filled with sweet shops and clothing shops with all different kinds of stylish, trendy options. We found a great little spot for lunch. So this is eel again. If you can tell, I really like barbecued eel. Then the next day, it was time to head out of town. We boarded the fast train to Osaka. Here we checked into the Liber Hotel at Universal Studios Japan. So this was the room view where we got to see kind of behind the scenes. But we wanted to head down for some tasty treats. So we headed to Do-tonbori Street. we cannot resist a huge hand with sushi. It ended up being a conveyor belt sushi restaurant. So that was a lot of fun. You just pull the tray down. The takoyaki octopus balls are also a must try. It's a little piece of octopus surrounded by this gooey, doughy batter. It's delicious. The next day was our primary reason we were headed to Osaka, and that was the day at Universal Studios Japan. Now, it poured rain all day. It was very cold and slightly miserable, but definitely worth it. And I think it was good because it kept some of the lines down. It was wild to walk in and see so many things that were exactly the same than what we've seen in Universal Studios Orlando, with some great surprises that were very Japanese. But so you head in and you walk down the main street. Luckily, it was covered, so that gave us a little reprieve from the rain. But look at those style buildings. That's exactly what it's like when you walk into Universal Studios Orlando. But then we found these great little food stands next to different themed rides that had themed food. So they had such fun little creations. This is a pork bun. It tasted exactly like a regular pork bun. You could also go and get specially themed breakfasts. Now, walking out, this definitely should remind you of Universal Studios Orlando. I expected to see the Jimmy Fallon ride there. Unfortunately, that's not a Universal Studios Japan. We rode Spider-Man. It was exactly the same. The pizza place is there, though the toppings look a little bit different. Now, one difference was the Minions area. They have really built out the Minions area here. They had 2 rides instead of just 1. Lots of different food options, lots of themed food options. They have Banana Cabana. They had a really fun store where you could go in and get a lot of specialized merchandise. And then they had this ride that kind of just moved in a circle, kind of like teacups, if you've ever seen that at Disney World. So many fun just storefronts, places to take pictures. And then, of course, the Minions were available for a meet and greet and selfies. They didn't individually meet people, but you could stand behind a line and take your photo, or you could have your Minions-inspired meal. Backdraft, unfortunately, was closed during our visit, but then again, here are some more themed fun food items that were around. They do have a major roller coaster in the Jurassic Park area called the Flying Dinosaur. The other roller coasters are inside, but the Jurassic Park ride looks exactly the same. This is exactly how it comes out at Universal Orlando's. We got to take a ride on Jaws, which was very nostalgic. It reminds you of the ride that they used to have. And then, of course, heading into the Harry Potter world here, it is exactly the same. So it was so fun to see it and just recreated perfectly. The kids area was much larger than Universal Orlando and had all different kinds of themes. We love seeing Snoopy and Hello Kitty and the Sesame Street Gang all together. Definitely different copyright rules. The Water World show was phenomenal. And then it was time to enter Super Nintendo World, which was absolutely a dream come true. The ride was amazing. It was like you were inside of Mario Kart playing the game, and then they had all kinds of fun details. The next day we went to the Osaka Museum of Housing and Living, which recreated a village from centuries ago. Then back, of course, to that Do-tonbori Street for some delicious pancakes. Then the next day we headed to Yokohama. The big reason we were coming here was to board our cruise ship, and it just so happened that there was a baseball game the day before we were set to embark, so we headed there, and it was such a treat. Baseball is the national sport of Japan. People take it very seriously. They have their own team's beers. They had a Bay Star Lager and a Bay Star Ale. You can see the flames shooting up. So they had incredible event after the game. So this is all after the game. They had a huge celebration after the win. It took about 40 minutes. There was fireworks. There was a dance performance by the cheerleaders. It was just an incredible thing. No one left. The empty seats across were reserved for the other team's fans. So the other team's fans come, and they had like 4 sections. They bring their own band and their own flags. And then, of course, we, for the Bay Stars, had our own band and our own flags. And when the players bat, they sing different songs. On our way back to the hotel, we stopped in Chinatown. This is the largest Chinatown in Japan and one of the largest in the world. It's absolutely incredible. It has 10 gates that enter it throughout the city. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick review of our 8 days. Be sure to check out the blog for more details.